Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Cindy Daychuck with Queen Bee Creations. Thanks for tuning in today. This is kind of a Christmas thrift haul. So, I know that a lot of you guys see like this humongous stash behind. I went through and I picked out some items that I thought would work well with playing with the new IOD Christmas items. So I'm either going to be stealing from the Inlay or from the transfer, or both. We'll see how that goes, and then I will probably use, the Christmas stamps in another one, and some of the molds and things. I haven't had a chance to play with them. I've been so busy doing other things. So they've been around for a little bit. My first chance to play with them, and I'm taking you along. So I stole a couple of things from the stash, and let me just show you what we're gonna be using. I have this metal pitcher. I quite like the red color. So we're just gonna zhuzh it up a little bit. I don't even have to paint that. Bonus. I have a tiny little wooden heart. Super cute. It's gonna get painted. I am going to brighten it up a little bit with some Carnival Red by DIY. I have a little hanging planter, little metal hanging planter. So this is gonna get painted. We have an old wooden wall candlestick. Those are getting painted. I'm stacking these because we also have a metal one, little candle holder. These are all going to get painted black first. So they're ultimately gonna get other colors, but first layer of black goes on all of those, and then we'll be back. I also have this cute little clock. Now it's got broken glass. It doesn't work, so we're gonna be taking it apart using the shape, but it too is going to get painted out in Carnival Red. Whoa. And then I have a big pizza paddle. Now, this is actually its good side. It's kind of a little bowed, curved. This is actually its good side, but it's all really quite oily. So we're gonna use the back, and that side's fine. So what I am gonna do, instead of black, I am going to give this a coat of dark and decrepit, which will work as a bit of a stain. So before we start doing any other painting, this gets dark and decrepit, this stack gets black, and these guys get red, okay? Then we'll be back starting to look at some of the individual items, and we'll go from there. The next round of basic painting is for a couple of our pieces to be painted white. So I have both of the candlesticks, the metal one and this big wooden one, that I want painted white. And I want this white, but kind of only in the frontage of it. Now, this, it has been done in black, but I am going to paint it in Pennies from Heaven. So that's the exception. I'm gonna do it in copper so that we can distress back to this color. With our white board, I'm going to kind of paint them roughly, meaning because I'm going to distress them anyway, there's no point in taking it perfectly to all of the edges. So it means that when I do it, I'm going to have it fairly solid in the middle, but I'm going to have it rough out at the edges and leave it being irregular because I'm going to make it go irregular anyway. Right? So for this and the big white one, the big white wooden one, I'm going to leave them, sorry, you can see a loose little one there. I'm gonna leave it so it's just solid toward the middle, rough at the edges, so that I get kind of that loose kind of look on those. When it comes to, so let me put that one off to the side just briefly. For a second there, I looked down at my shirt and I thought that I had speckled myself with white. Forgot I was wearing a white polka dotted shirt. Now it's time to sand all of our pieces. So some of them, like the clock that's painted red, I'm just gonna do a light sanding just to smooth out the paint. I really don't want it distressed at all, so it's gonna go light. Items like this are gonna get a much heavier distressing, as will this. Light, heavy, so everything's gonna get a bit of a sand just to be able to smooth it all out and get some of the look that I'm after. So I'm gonna sand, dust them all off, and then come back. My surface has been sanded, but before I start doing anything else to this, I just want to add a little bit of texture here and there. So what I do have is the wood stamp from IOD, and I have some of the stone gray. I don't want it to be too stark with the black, so I'm just kind of looking to add just a little bit of softness to this. So all I'm looking for, and I want some of this kind of patterned, I'm stamping all over, but I'm not going to want it everywhere. So I'm just going up the side here. And just adding a little bit of texture. So, just so it's not stark white. So see the difference? It's just adding a little bit. You could also use the crackle stamp that, that they have. And I think I'm just gonna do the same one over the whole thing. And that's it. That's all we're doing to that. So let me pop those off to the side. I'll wash that after. But we're just getting kind of rough texture in there. It just looks almost like we sanded to the rough wood. Now, before I start adding anything to it, I'm gonna let that dry so that I increase the odds of anything happening to that. So we did have this little guy. And what I was looking at doing is just attaching, because the red is already Christmassy, it's already in good shape. And sometimes some of these items that you thrift, you don't need to do a huge amount of work to it. So I have from the new Christmas transfer from IOD, I have, let me just kind of get this straight, this little house. And I'm just gonna stick that down along the bottom. And these like metal, they like slick surfaces, so this should go on without any problem. And there we go. And just make sure to burnish it on afterward. So already, that just looks super cute. It just already perks it right up. Looking for a spot to put my garbage so I'm not scooching through everything. Okay, so the next piece on this is I did think that I might tie a bit of jute and a couple of bells. I have to go looking for those. But I did think that maybe just up near the top I would add a little bit of some of this greenery. So got a couple of these already cut out. That one goes the wrong way. So I'm just going to attach some of these up to the top as a little bit of a switch up from doing birds or things. I'm going to do a reindeer in this guy. This is our clock face. So I'm going to want him to kind of lie down in the middle. All right. And I'm not going to worry about sealing him because he's kind of tucked away. He's kind of protected in there. But what I am going to want is to add some little bits of greenery. Maybe I'm gonna wait to stick them in entirely until he's in. So the clock is drying because I have it covered in polyfill right now. Polyacrylic right now. So it's got to get finished, just dried off. This guy, we are actually going to do the seal at the same time that we're doing our, now I'm just looking around to see where did I put those guys. Too many things. Okay, here we go. So these are little Christmas balls that I cut out from the new Christmas inlay. So these need to be embedded into wet paint or wet sealer. So I'm gonna seal this one, and I've cut around them so that I can lay them down into the sealer and not have them laying over top of each other, over top of the paper. So I'm gonna have those Christmas balls kind of coming down this way. All right, so I am experimenting because I have done the inlay successfully into Big Top and into liquid patina, no problem. So I decided that I might as well try the Sweet Pickins top coat with the inlays and just see how that does. Because why not? So I want to get the top coat down and onto this, and I'm just going to add my little Christmas balls into that as I go. I want the red one now. I did my top coat down as far very well. Started that one a lot higher than I thought I was going to. Okay. So I just want to get enough of the rest of the piece top coated. So the only other thing that I want to do now is just lightly mist those inlays to kind of activate that paint so it's going to sit down in, and I can just kind of take a little bit of the excess. And then we're going to put it off to the side, let that dry. Once it's dry, then we can remove the inlays and then we can finish sealing the whole piece. Okay. Let's pull this baby back. Okay, so what I'm looking at doing on this is actually attaching this whole wreath inlay from the new Christmas transfer. And I'm just sort of eyeballing it here. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to take the big bird. I'm going to stick him down in the middle. Just slightly off center. Okay. Now, you could put words up across here, Merry Christmas, etc. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this over and I'm going to seal it with clear wax. So I'm going to get it all sealed and buffed. And then I am just going to add some ribbon and some greenery and some pine cones once that's done. So it can get that sort of little finish. Now, our little heart. I want to make it Christmassy, and to do that, I have some little Christmas picks. I have a little bit of wire, so very thin wire. So thin, I mean, it cuts with scissors, no problem. And what I want to do is I want to create a little bit of a wreath. So I'm going to take some of these little sprigs, and this is something that I just thrifted, right? So I got like an old one of these that was just all kind of mangled, and I always keep my eye out for things like that because, okay, it's just barely, almost just once around. Now, this already has wire, so I'm able to start twisting that just of itself to create the size of wreath that I want to put on here. Okay, so there's my basic wreath form. Doesn't look like much, I know. Okay, so there's my basic wreath form. And what I'm going to do is start taking some of these little sprigs and some other little greenery sprigs that I have. And I'm going to start to take this wire and I'm going to start wrapping them on. Okay. So I'm just going to start laying this down and wrapping my wire around it. And because this wire is so thin, it is so easy to kind of pull it around and through and create a lot of that texture. You just want to make sure that you don't flatten any of your leaves down as you're going, so that they can still look nice and natural. And then every so often, take another one of these little sprigs and add it in. Now that our little wreath is done, I'm just going to hang it on the front. I just attached a little bit of ribbon onto the back, and I'm just going to attach this in place as well. So I'm going to stick some hot glue into a few strategic spots. And then push it down on to our little heart. And then this one is done. Now that our inlays have dried, we are just simply going to wet them again. So, let me get my water going here. And you can see that it brings them back to life. The paper goes translucent again. And all that we're looking to do is let them sit. I need to get the there we go, is let them sit for about 30 seconds. We're not necessarily reactivating paint, but we're kind of softening it up so that these will then be able to pull off, leaving paint behind. Now, the one thing that you want to do is to save these little sheets. So put them off to the side, just face up, let them dry, because you can reuse them. It's got real artist quality paint on them, so that as long as you still got an image on it, you still got paint on it. So I can reuse this on a different project. So I just want to lay it flat somewhere off to the side, let it dry, and then I can use it on another project again. So it's one of the beauties of the paint inlay, is that we get to reuse them. We've got 2 projects completely finished, and we've got 4 left to finish. I'm feeling pressure here. Okay, so what I'm thinking is this. All right, so we've got this little guy. We've got a cute little transfer on there. So I think we're gonna do a couple of things. I don't think this is going to be something that people are going to put a candle in. So if we're going to have it, it's got a little hole in the back to be able to hang it, then I think it makes more sense to just make it as a little piece of decor that somebody is going to just hang, on their bookshelf, or, from a hook somewhere. So I've got a little gingham bow, and I'm going to put this right at the base. So that's one of the reasons that I had done the house up a little bit higher, was the idea that I could put a bow down in that empty space. So if my hot glue has had time to warm up, there we go. And let's put it down here so that we can still see our house. All right, so already just kind of cute. But because we're not going to put, now you could just stick a little candle in there anyway. You could put a little bottle brush tree in there if you want. I have some just little sprigs off of a fake Christmas tree. So sometimes you get those and they are in the thrift stores, they're broken down, so they're super inexpensive, but really I just get them for the pieces, and then I'm able to use big branches for swags, take apart little branches, that kind of thing. So what I'm thinking is, instead we can take some of these pieces and maybe, sorry, that guy's a little twisted, and just create a little bit of greenery. You're a different kind. Do I have another? Yes, okay. All right, so this one had all these little metal picks on there. I discovered yesterday that if you try and pull them out, they're gonna slice off your finger. They're gonna slice your finger. I was bleeding like crazy. Take pliers and pull them off. Trust me on that one. It took a while for that. That's one of the reasons why this video has now gone into the next day, because I didn't want to be bleeding over top of everything. A little behind the scenes action for y'all. All right, so I'm gonna stick those guys all in there. See, already, just a little bit cute. And I have these little berries. I kind of like these because they're not the bright red cherry ones. So I'm just gonna stick a couple of little sprigs of those. This is too many. And I'm just gonna show you and then I'll go and glue this together. There we go. And I have these little tiny baby pine cones that I picked up off the ground when I was walking my dog. So I'm going to glue just a couple of those down in the center. And so when I get things glued, it's going to kind of look like that. So now it just looks like a cute little thing. It could be a towel holder now because we've covered up where the candle is, so you could hang a little towel from this. You could hang another little Christmas ornament from it. It just becomes a sweet little decoration. So I'm gonna glue that one together off camera. Let me put it so it doesn't fall apart so I remember how it goes. This one I'm gonna glue together as we go. But this is our little clock. So I've put him in there. Doesn't he look cute in there? So just a nice, you know, the little reindeer, just nice and cute. So let me turn this so that you guys can maybe see. What I'm thinking is, this is a different kind of sprig, but what I'm thinking is to maybe glue this down in the bottom here. And I like it so that it's coming out. I don't want to have everything in there. I don't have the glass in there. The glass is broken. So I want to take advantage of being able to use the outside. So I can stick one part up and in. And now here, I'm gonna grab something to stick that down into the glue because I have to hold it till it dries. So I need a little bit of greenery there, but I don't want a lot. So maybe just a sprig. And this is where you just kind of play, right? You know, it's, I just want to hide a little bit of that glue and where the end of my branch was. So I'm just looking for a couple little sprigs to fill it in a little bit. Awesome. Okay. So what I might do, which little bag have I got my pine cones in? Oh, see? Really on a dog walk. This is my dog poop bag. So I'm just gonna stick a couple of those little pine cones in there as well to add just another little textural element to it, but keeping it down low so that I'm not hiding too much. I'm looking for the small ones by feel in here. There we go, and one up a little higher. Yeah. It's the three thing, right? The law of threes. Okay, and I feel like I need just a little, one or two of these same berries, just to balance it off down in there. So, you know, when you're doing this, that's all you're doing, is you're just kind of looking to see, okay, those are the little threads. And that's it. I don't think that he needs more than that. That just becomes a cute little shelf sitter, right? So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 done. Oh, I'm moving right along. Okay, so this one. We've got this one. We've got our little bells coming down. I distressed them a little bit. And here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that rather than doing like a big bow up here, I'm just gonna put little greenery here, and then I'm gonna do almost like a fake wreath around here. So, let's see. So if I glue like this little sprig in here, all right, let's just go for it. So let me glue a sprig there, a sprig in here. And again, I have these little berries that I took off of that one wrapped thing. So I've got a couple of loose ones. So let me just maybe add one little, these almost look like little pomegranates, baby pomegranates. They're not. And I'm just looking to see. All right, I'm just debating whether or not I need to have 2 of those and then a little something sticking out. So I'm in the debating mode. That's where I'm looking around at what else have I got. Okay, I think they need a little something. So I have these little picks, which are little brown guys that have like little acorns, not acorns, but they look like they have little nuts to them. And I'm just looking at whether, okay, I think maybe those would look cute. Okay. Now this is tough because they're all individual. And so now they're all loose and free. So I need to get glue that's going to hold all of them together. And then oh, yes, okay. That's perfect. So, see that? Doesn't that look good? See how that looks kind of boring? I really like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put those up there. Just, you don't need to see me do all of that. Okay, I have some of these little branches, and I'm thinking I'll glue those around the side. So I need some glue there. Okay. So with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more of those same little kind of pomegranate-y kind of berries and some more of those little brown picks. And I'm just going to insert them around the wreath. Sorry, this is still drying. I'm just going to insert them around that wreath to balance it off and do it at the top. And then I think that's done. I think that is all that needs. It would be overkill otherwise. So, first order business is I need to cut some of these guys apart so that I can see the layout better. So I'm thinking of having kind of greenery swagging down and then a bow in the center. Okay. So really what we're looking at doing here is just creating a layout that makes sense, that we like. And I do have my nail gun that I will kind of nail down into the board to hold these in place a little bit so that they're gonna stay put. So I'm gonna work on a layout that I like, that works, and And then we'll see about the whole bow action. All right, so I have a neutral ribbon, kind of in a burlappy sort of tone. I have this gold ribbon, and I have the neutral one a little bit longer because this is all I had of the gold. So we'll make it work. And then I have this plain kind of satiny kind of green that I thought that I might use to tone it down. I don't know. I'm not a major, you know, people that do bows have ribbon like you wouldn't believe. I don't have tons. I have what I have. Because I don't do a lot of bows. I don't know why. My mother is awesome at bow making. I mean, she just grabs a piece of ribbon. Before you know it, it's got 1,000,001 different poofs and swirls and stuff. For this one, I don't want it to be a complicated bow. It's kind of a simple kind of look to this. So I think having too many loops would detract from it. But I am thinking I like the look of the green running over the top of this. So the worst thing that can happen is I don't like it. So let's give it a go. Let's try it out. So my middle is about here. And I have a little piece of really thin wire that I get on spools from the dollar store. And that's what I like to use. So I am just crisscrossing this over top of itself here and just doing a really traditional bow. And then I'm going to, let me see if I want it a little bit bigger. My loop's a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to squish it. And then I'm taking my wire and I'm wrapping it around the middle. I'm going to tie it off in the back. And I just like using the wire instead of a piece of string because then I don't have to tie a knot. It just makes my life easier. So basically, because I'm lazy. And the wire cuts super easy. I can even use scissors. All right. So for my bow, I'm going to attach it to the piece. And I just like to push it down in the middle. I'm going to attach it to the piece before I start cutting the ends or futzing with it too much. So you have the option here that you can leave these just sort of layered looking. You can also separate them, right? So because I picked 3 different, I was really looking at separating them out, popping the green into the middle, and having this as my bow. Okay, that kind of works for me. Let's hope it looks okay on the piece. All right, so this is what our board looks like right now. And what I'm looking at doing is adding my ribbon right up in there. And perfect, that kind of covers all kinds of sins up here. So let me just hold that for a bit. And then this one's done. And I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. So as soon as this is done, I'll zhuzh it up a little bit and I'll come back and we'll just recap where we were at. Okay, Now, really what I wanted, I wanted to start playing with some of the IOD Christmas transfer and inlay. I've got tons more projects that I'm going to be doing with them, and certainly I have yet to break out my molds. So watch for more of those. But more than anything, I wanted to give you an idea of, again, taking thrifted items, adding a little bit of paint and some dollar store greenery or thrifted greenery and kind of zhuzhing them up a little bit. So we have this cute little pitcher, ewer, vase, whatever we want to call it, which I think looks super cute right now. So again, just perfect to be able to add into a little display that you have, add in a little bit of poinsettias at the top or some branches. You know, taking, I've got all kinds of greenery pieces all over, taking just a little wooden heart, making your own little wreath on it. We didn't use any of the IOD transfers, but really it didn't need anything. It's just super cute like this. I think this is perfect for adding into a little vignette or to dangle in front of a mirror or a picture that you have in your home or over the top of a little cabinet door or hanging from a knob somewhere. Just a nice way to add a little touch. Old clocks, taking them, just painting them out, adding this up on top of a bookcase, just on a stack of books on a sideboard somewhere, just a little bit of touch of a kind of a Christmassy feel. That little deer, or it looks more like an elk to me, or a moose, but you know, whatever. I'm not into naming my animals properly, so you know, whatever. But it looks super cute, and it's a great way to be able to use an item that would have been slated for the dump for sure. This little guy, I mean, just super cute, perfect for hanging something off of. Definitely something that you might have overlooked, but look how cute it ends up being. So again, looking at things a different way and seeing some use and some purpose in it. This we left as a candle holder, but it's just a kind of a cute, simple little display. It's got a lot of distressing going on. The great little baubles inlay just added on to that, which just kind of perks it up, takes it away from being this old, big, heavy, wooden, whatever. Then there's our paddle. So we've got the great transfers from IOD, and then just some old greenery, quite honestly, that I thrifted. So kind of taking our look from this, but being able to have this either hanging up on a wall, up on a buffet somewhere, up on a sideboard, just a cute little Christmassy touch. And going a little bit out of the, you know, simple red and green look. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You know that I love to hear from you, so definitely hit me up with your thoughts, with your comments. I hope that this inspires you. For those of you that are crafters, that are looking at getting ready for Christmas bazaars, these are the kinds of things where they're all small, little, unique items. So taking thrifted items and just adding your own little touches to them, zhuzhing them up, having them out on a table where they can purchase and they see that they're one-of-a-kind items. You don't have a whole table of clocks painted out with greenery. You know, that they're all unique, they're all special, and they can really feel that they're getting something that is special for them. Thanks for tuning in. Check out queenbeecreationshome.com for any of your crafting needs, but more importantly, like, share, subscribe, and tune in for the next one. Until then, take care.